Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the Amazing Conspiracy Realist channel. I just changed the name to the channel today in case people found it like a little bit hard to access. So Amazing Conspiracy Realist channel. So ACRC. It's kind of a mouthful, but I think people get used to it after a while. Anyway, shout out to One Great Network. I checked that out earlier today and this week, and yesterday when it came out, and it's just probably one of the best research platforms and alternative media platforms I've ever seen. I mean, there's tons, dozens and dozens of researchers out there, and natural law teachers out there, all like range of so many different subjects. So definitely check it out. There's a link below in the description. And, I want to collaborate with One Great Network more in the content creators on there. I already have collaborated with Dom Tremblay of Verita ou Consequence. And so Dom, he basically does, the conspiracy and occult teachings and natural law teachings for a French-speaking audience. So, that's a great service to truth right there. And, shout out to Dom. And that's where it was through Dom and through the Facebook Natural Law Teachers group and the Mark Passio Natural Law group on Facebook that I met my next guest, or the first guest for the show, Bobby C Cirillo, from Anonymous Addiction, My Truth About AA, How Bobby C sees it. And he is actually, we're not related, at least that we know of directly, right? So we do have the same last name, which is pretty interesting. Before I go on, I was just going to say that I'm going to have Crystal River, intuitive healer, on as my first guest, but she wanted to wait until after Mercury retrograde to come on the show. So, but Bobby has stepped in, and we definitely thank him for coming on. How's it going, Bobby?
Brian, thank you. I appreciate it. How we got hooked up is just it's just beautiful. That's it's natural law working in our lives, and I mean I kind of like the common sense approach to natural law, because we might be able to overlook the simplicity because it's always right in front of us. So
Exactly.
I really appreciate that. And Dom, yeah, let's give it. You gave a shout out to Dom. He had me on probably a week ago. What a wonderful man! What a wonderful man! That's how we got hooked up. And Cirillo, we may be related, we may not be, but we're brothers. We're brothers in another consciousness. We're part of this collective consciousness, and me and you are connecting up, and it's a good deal, man, real good deal. So I'm
Well,
with. Yeah, I'm Anonymous Addiction at My Truth About AA on Facebook page, and it's a private group. And I'll tell you why I say as Bobby C sees it later in the program. But back to you, Brian.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, it's definitely really synchronistic, and it's a sign that, because I knew that when some of my relatives passed on, I had a feeling that, they'd want me to do the great work. They'd want me to learn this stuff. So I feel like it is kind of a message from beyond, possibly, but I think it's really cool and appreciate what you're doing. I think it's, I'm always against. I've just learned to kind of break away from what I call and what malignant collectivism, which is like when things that you're involved in just get too cult-like and you lose your individuality. So,
Exactly.
me and Dom were talking about how in our music community that was happening, and we were drawn to that music because we wanted to, know more about ourselves and break away a little bit from conformity and all that stuff. But then it ended up being another cult and another, kind of programming that went along with that. So I think any type of thing that people are drawn to in society can be used for good or evil. And so I guess the first question I want to ask is, what is tell us about like the work that you're doing with the Anonymous Addiction page and why you decided to go into this particular field of deprogramming.
Well, actually, Brian, I've been doing this for. I came into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous by circumstance. It wasn't my plan. It was the only game in town. I had a drinking problem. They call it an addiction. I don't anymore. They call it a disease. I don't anymore. Um, My wife was going to Al-Anon, which today is Al-Anon's a 12-step program too, which I don't buy into. But they sent somebody over to me, and his name was Lonnie, and he came walking in the door. He asked me if I wanted to go to a meeting, and he was just, you know, they talk about sponsorship in Alcoholics Anonymous. This guy became a friend, and I believe in friends. Like I always say, Bobby C, a friend in recovery and beyond. And I say beyond because we're never ending. It's always a recovery. You know, I'm always in recovery for something. You know, we're all addicted. We're all addicted to something. And we're all, I don't even like the word addiction either, but we all got habits.
We all have desire.
We all have these, you know what? We all got desires, right?
Yep.
And some of them are healthy and some of them aren't. But when I came in Alcoholics Anonymous, I came in with an open mind, and that was a gift. It was given to me at birth. I don't know why. You know, I was born an atheist. My mom gave me her Catholicism. I became a Catholic, did all the Catholic rituals, you know, went to church, knew about priests, knew about confessions, knew about amends, knew about the whole religion makeup of the hierarchy. So when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I could see it from the get-go that, you know, it was a religion disguised as whatever, you know, spiritual. They actually hijacked the spirituality of the program, or the spirituality of natural law. They hijacked it. And instead of calling it religion, they called it spirituality. And that was the hijacking. I see that happen a lot. I mean, they're all hijacking natural law, the spirit, the true nature of spirituality. You know, even the word in itself, people, you know, words cast spells upon us, right?
That is true.
Through repetition. And as we discuss this, you'll find out how Alcoholics Anonymous repetition through the words, phrases, slogans, and readings infiltrates almost osmosisly, even if you don't want it, to your brain, to your subconscious, you know, and it kind of like blocks your consciousness. It takes it over. But I came in 36 years ago, well, 37 years ago now. I came in February 27th, 1984. And, you know, in the beginning, I had no other choices. So it was the only game in town. And I didn't call myself an alcoholic. Everybody else called myself an alcoholic. And society coined the word alcoholic. And when I came in, I had to adopt that word, because at every meeting, you know, you raise your hand. My name is Bobby C. I'm an alcoholic, you know, and the word I am is so powerful. Why would you put alcoholic after it? You know, I am powerful. But alcoholism and Alcoholics Anonymous and the disease concept renders you powerless.
Yeah.
So it takes away your power.
Sense about it with regard to true spirituality, right?
Exactly. Feel free to jump in, Brian, anytime. And this way, as you jump in, I could kind of clarify something that I'm saying.
Okay.
But my intention, it always been, it was like I always was counterintuitive to the program. I was always in cognitive dissonance. Always.
Like, what kind of mind control techniques did they use, or like what were like the talismanic words and slogans? Like, at least you don't have to go into all of them, but like some of them that you remember.
Well, it would take forever. I have stuff all laying out here. I'll go into it little by little, but there's so much. There's so much of it. As soon as you go in, they say you only see they kind of, when I say they, I mean the structure, the hierarchy, the pyramid, why it was designed, the hidden agenda, the architects of the pyramid, and the architects of Alcoholics Anonymous, and why they actually designed the program, and why Rockefeller backed it up and put money into it, and everybody kind of came into it, and you know the puppet, the puppet on the strings, right? It's the exact same thing that's happening with the cult that I was in, and one of your questions is it cultish? Well, let's say this. So I always probably was spiritual. So, and I always probably didn't know these words because there are only words. I kind of knew in my body what was going on without language. It wasn't, I didn't have to use words to it like cult and natural law or any other word or consciousness or universal law, spiritual, rational, logical, universal spiritual knowledge. I didn't know any of those words, but I knew it. It was like almost all knowing without
Yeah.
knowing.
Right.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. For sure.
and and when I first came in, you would try to kind of like think on your own, and they would contradict that with don't think, don't question, like slogans like don't think, don't drink, go to meetings. We actually had big slogan books, and they used to turn, one of them was think, 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 and they used to turn it upside down so you wouldn't think because they don't want you to think. Okay. They don't want you to question, criticize, or really think on your own. So
It's just
they
like
tried to,
school, like education system. It's a similar thing, but now they can bring you back into that little like sphere of, influence by your so-called addiction. Like they make you into someone, oh, now you need us. Now you need to be dependent on us and you can't live without us, basically.
exactly. Well, you'll surely die. It says, it says right in, let's see, right in one of the traditions. I mean, it says, each member of AA is but a small part of a great whole. AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Okay. When you're reading that over and over again, you know, and the AA program is telling you that this is a lifelong program. You have a disease. There's no cure, and this is the only way. So when you want to get back out of the cave, you're in a cave. You're in a cave of denial. You want to go out of the cave a little bit, but you're out of the cave without any information, without any knowledge, because I wasn't really seeking much knowledge. Okay, at that particular time, I would read Anthony Robbins' motivational speaker books, Wayne Dryer's, uh, different types of stuff, and then I would start picking up little spiritual books. Okay, little spiritual books, but then I get into readings like how it works or more about alcoholism because these readings are read over and over at every meeting. Okay. Uh, it's very ritual and
Right.
it's ritual at every meeting. So you cannot get away from the subliminal messaging that's constantly given to you. Okay.
Right.
Even if you want to. Okay. So I would leave the cave, the cave of denial. I'd leave out and learn all these things, come back into a meeting, and then that's where the cognitive dissonance always was.
Yeah.
It was either with that or mainly with the religion part too, because
Yeah.
they're talking about spiritual, but they're talking about God constantly.
Well, yeah, I think what happens is like, so when you're have because I've had substance abuse habits, let's call them, and so like you're losing yourself almost to that substance, and so but then when you are starting to recover, you're finding yourself again. You're going out in the world and you're learning more about yourself. But then you go into AA, and then like they're trying to make this like just the group becomes like your new drug, and they feel like that's the cure, I guess, right? So instead of you finding who you are, they want you to just subsume yourself in what they're all about. It sounds like to
Exactly.
me.
It's exactly. Okay, let's just say, see, in the beginning, you read all the readings. Okay, you don't understand any of them because you don't know nothing about the program. So you're reading, you're getting all these readings in it, and in the beginning, they're saying the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. That's the only requirement for membership. So it's a piece of cake. All I got to do is go in. Back in my days, I smoked cigarettes, drink coffee. I had a friend. We had cake. I mean, it was like a little party. Okay, so all I had to do was have a desire. Yeah, I don't want to drink anymore. Okay, so that's that's the crumb. That's the little crumb that gets you in. You know, and Here's step 3, right here. Step 3. Made it. It's 1, 2, and 3. You got to do these steps. Everybody that goes into rehab goes through all these steps. You don't
Yeah.
go. You don't go to no program unless you're doing these steps. Forced into conforming to do the steps. Okay. Step 3. Made a decision. Now everything starts from a decision and a desire. Everything in life. Okay. I have the desire to stay sober, right? Okay, that's fine for me. It's coming from me. I have a desire. Now, made a decision to turn my will, you know what my will is? My will and my life. That's my body, mind, and soul. That's my body, mind, and spirit. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. We understood him. See, that's the kicker. They always put that as we understood God. Okay.
Yeah.
No one can understand this word that's been misused and abused throughout centuries is just a made up. I don't even like the word anymore. Okay. Because it's been abused so much. Okay. Right. So here we go. Now, if you don't see in the beginning, it's cool. You're just in. You're just, it's like you're loving it. It's fun. You got a fellowship. You're meeting people. You're doing stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I want to say too. Is like it's as a person that's never been in it, that like has seen it from the outsider's perspective. It looks like just a place where people go who like need help and they get help, and then it's just like it's made to look really nice on the surface. But like I already, when I heard that, because I had a friend who was going into AA and stuff, and he was saying that it was just like going to church, and he was looking for one that was a little bit more secular for his particular taste. But the thing is, even if they were teaching true spirituality and telling people that they need to ignite their own inner will and ambition, and it's really their choice what they want to do, and it's up to them only, then wouldn't that be way more empowering and better for the person that's having the crisis or whatever it is?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not here to teach you because you know all this. Okay,
we're here to tell. Like have these misconceptions and stuff about it.
No, you're pretty. You've been studying natural law, so you understand these things. But when I'm talking to the viewers that are going in.
Right.
Or being forced to go in, or in and thinking about leaving. I'm not telling anybody. See, I'm not bad mouthing the members. They're human beings. I'm not bad mouthing people because I was a member. So my job isn't to bad mouth members of Alcoholics Anonymous. My job, it's my purpose. Okay.
Right.
My purpose, my intention, my care is to help others, like Dom says. Okay, Dom says on Truth or Consequences, he says, aspire to inspire. That's where I'm at. I want to inspire people to open their minds, connecting their consciousness, going beyond AA. Don't run. Hey, I'm not telling everybody to run because that may be their lifesaver right now. Don't run. Stay in. But guess what? Think, question, observe, and become aware of what's going on. Don't buy into everything. Go out and check other things out. And we'll talk about other different programs as we go along. But this care, that's the care is the eighth principle in natural law. It's the whole thing that ties everything together. Brian, say that again.
It is the forgotten principle, so it's the one that's not as talked about as much as the main 7 hermetic principles.
Right, and you sent me the 7, which is because I listen to so many different things, I couldn't tell you what the first, second. My mind at my age doesn't hold things.
What is the difference between like their care and true care? Would you say, like, if you could pepper that in somehow?
Oh, well, definitely. I mean, that's their care is to take your care away. That's the whole thing. Made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of AA to care. They're going to be responsible for you now on. You don't have to be responsible for yourself. We will, the program. Why do they call it the program? Because we're being programmed over and over again. Okay. The program will take care of you. Don't think. You don't even have to think. Just do what we say. Do what we say, conform to all our principles, and you shall live a happy and joyous life. Care.
And I also want to mention that I just came up with an overlap. That's how they want. That's not. I think that applies to the entire society. I think that's how the New World Order, or whatever you want to call it, they want us all in that. Like, give up all your power to us. We'll take care of you. We're the surrogate parents and stuff. So.
Exactly. What I'm talking about is when I say Bobby C, recovery and beyond, that's what I'm talking about. Beyond. The beyond is to understand that religion, Hollywood, media, government, it's all the same. AA, there's so many, it's pathetic, but the big hierarchies, people don't really know how powerful AA is, but it's losing its power. So to tell everybody, I'm going to give a shout out right now to like Monica Richardson, friend of mine. I was on her, I called in her podcast last night, talked to her. We have a lot of years in AA. So we can show people things that they may not be able to figure out or see or understand or have an insight into. So it's my moral obligation, I feel, to do this, what I'm doing, because I've been in it so long and I know so much about it. Okay. Monica Richardson, Leaving AA, her Facebook is Leaving AA, and she has the 13-step film that she created. She's over here in LA. Another shout out to the Freedom Model, Michelle, Mark, Stephen. Their dad started the Baldwin Research Center probably 30 years ago. He left AA. And they started creating a new. They have a book called The Freedom Model. Okay, very very good book. I mean, I don't buy everything, but I buy mostly all of it. Okay, so I'm in contact with all these different groups and all these different people that have like-minded and are helping free others to expand their consciousness, to have choices. Because today's not like 85 years ago. In 1935, when Bill met Bob, that was a different ball game. There was nothing, Right. And I'll go into the history. I think you wanted the next segment to be about the history of AA, and we'll get into all that. But we're just touching, Brian. I'm touching the surface. Getting back to that care, right? You were talking about it. I mean, the traditions alone take the care away. Continue to live, or most of us will die. If you don't work the program, you're going to die. Is that open-minded?
No, that's horrible. This is worse than I even thought before.
Brian, it's not. You haven't heard nothing yet. Okay?
Oh my God.
Okay, let me do a disclaimer first. Let me get my disclaimer out. Bobby C, I'm not a professional, even though I don't want to be, because I don't even believe in that word professional. I'm not a professional. I don't have my doctorate, even though my daughter does, but I could teach my daughter some things or two. Even though I'm proud of her, I'm so proud of her. She's just got her doctorate. She's getting her doctorate degree in a couple months. But the intellect that's part of the whole deal, because they're training all these people with the professors and the doctorates and the lawyers and the judges just to be puppets and slaves to the society. So my disclaimer is, no, I'm not a professional. No, I'm not even a counselor, but I'll tell you what, I'm an expert in my 37-year journey through Alcoholics Anonymous and through life, because I uncovered, recovered, and discovered the hidden truths about life. And that's not from one thing. That's from going all different avenues, all different ways, and I know I'm going to even go beyond Mark Passio someday. Mark, I love him. I love Mark. I love everybody. You know, I'm on that volunteerism and natural law UK with Will Tell. Is it Will Tell? Yeah, he's great. And then Dan, what is it? Dan Clashley. I think Dan. It's a Dan. Yeah, Dan Crashley. I think his name is. You know, Larkin Rose. All them.
Yeah.
They're just, you know. I love them all. I'm gonna take a little piece of that, little piece of you, little piece of Dom, little piece of Mark, little piece of everybody. I'm gonna roll it back up and I'm gonna make it all my own. Even though natural law, I don't have nothing to do with it because it just is. Okay. But I have to do with I have a responsibility to research my stuff, learn my stuff, and have an open mind and grow, continue growing.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, it goes beyond just words. So like when you're and I don't want to like confuse people, but like when you have that energy of truth that surrounds you in life, it almost doesn't let you go in the wrong direction. It doesn't let you fall for these mind control programs. There's certain types of people where it's just in their spirit where they just see through the bullshit. And that brings me to my next question. Why do you think so many people fall for this? Are they really that desperate for something like this? Like in their psyche or whatever it is?
They're not they have no alternatives. They're forced in. You don't fall for it. You don't fall for it. You get sucked into it. Why do people fall for the Republican Democrat bullshit? You know, it's the same deal. They're not looking for that. It was brought upon them. You know, even if they didn't want it, they got it. You know, so it's the same thing. Society's forced people in through court systems, through rehabs. You know, AA is like a distribution center. They're all sent there. Okay, through every treatment center. Okay, all the counselors, all the lawyers, all the doctors, all the Indian chiefs, all the professors, all the studies, because I'll get into later series and point out and show through books and research papers how this all connects, all the dots connect. But here's the good news. It's changing. It's changing. They're losing membership. Okay.
Okay.
More people are living, not dying, okay, because there's more choices. There's more rational, logical, universal spiritual truth out there, natural law.
Exactly.
Okay? So it's happening. It's happening. It's not that I don't see it not happening. I know it's happening.
I really wanted to get your take on this because I was thinking about it the other day, and like, because I mean, people are going to hear this interview and, you know, they might be like, you know, freaked out and like, oh my God, he's denouncing a service that helps people and all this stuff. So what is your message to those who say that people who deny, question, or leave the AA program are just addicts who don't realize how bad they actually need it? Like the people that have that whole mentality.
Okay. There we go. First of all, my like I said, my goal, my intention, my care is not to hurt anyone. I'm here to inspire and open people's minds and their consciousness and their awareness so they can check things out. So if you're already in AA, I'm not denying you anything. If you want to stay in, stay in. If you want to don't question. I can't change you. I can't change you. My message is that only you can change you. See, that's what I found out through all these years, that it's not the program that saved you, it's you that saved you. Okay? They just want to take credit for it because they're stealing your body, mind, and soul. All right? So it's you, and it has to be. If it's meant to be, it's going to be free and it's going to come from me. All right. There's no money has to be attached to it. You know, whatever the mind, look, we don't have to, I mean, Mark talks about the law of attraction, you know, and we all know about that. The law of attraction works for good and evil and everything in between, everything in between. The law of attraction works for it all. Doesn't matter. So here's my thing. The good is disguised. No, the evil is disguised as good. Come on, let's, everybody that's listening to me
That's so
that's
true.
that's in the natural law knows that, so they can't
Yeah,
deny that.
the powers that should not be are a cult of light. They actually they aren't light occultists, but they are a cult of light in that they use knowledge. Like, so in the occult, light symbolism and sun symbolism represents knowledge, and so does like pyramid structures, that represents a hierarchy in knowledge. So either you're informing people about what that knowledge is on the lower levels of the hierarchy or the whatever it is, or you're keeping that information to manipulate them. So would you say that AA would be more like a situation of dark occultism, where the people at the higher levels of the AA, or the people that are controlling it, they have information about the human psyche that isn't as widely known as the general public?
Yes, yes, and yes. It's all yes. There's no question about it in my mind, and everybody that listens, and studies natural law knows that it's yes.
Right.
Is it? Well, here I'll just go into this here. The definition of a cult. Everybody probably just goes to the dictionary. Because a definition of a cult is a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs, or by its common interest in a particular personality. Now, our personality in Alcoholics Anonymous was always Bill W. Everything was about Bill W. and Dr. Bob, because they were the two co-founders. They were hijacked in the beginning. They were just puppets. They're just two
Yeah.
puppets. Okay. So our leaders were Bill W. And God forbid, if you should talk about Bill W. or Dr. Bob, you're ostracized. That's
God,
part of
right?
that's part of the cult mentality, because I'm going to get into that. That's all definition of a cult, all definition of brainwashing. It's all, what's crazy is like you said it earlier, Brian. You said once you become aware, it's so obvious that it's sickening to think that other people can't see how obvious it is. Okay, but they can't. But they can't. So we have to drop the seeds little by little, awaken them little by little. People that want to become fanatics real quick, they're going to fizzle out anyhow. Eventually, this thing's a slow journey. It's something that it gets into your blood, and it just becomes natural, because it's natural law. Here we go. Personality, Dr. Bob and Bill. Okay, Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob. Objects. They're talking about personalities, objects. They give a coin out to millions and millions of people every day with the pyramid symbol on it, a coin. Our coins are symbolic, and they are a gratification gift to keep you in, to get them coins, to develop the years. The more years you got, the more knowledge you got. The more years you got, the stupider you are, because the more closed-minded you stay.
Right.
Okay. So see, I could have been considered an elder statesman if I wanted to continue to bullshit lie. I could have sat back and preached all the bullshit over and over again. They would all flock to me like they did Clancy. Clancy was one of the hierarchy stupid pigs. He just passed away probably last year he passed away, which everybody, now, you know what I wanted to be? A bleeding deacon. They actually told you if you were a bleeding deacon, you were going against the program. You were questioning and talking about other things. The traditions don't like you talking about outside issues. I'll tell you, right? I could show you one of the traditions. That's a no-no. You don't go outside the program and talk about nothing else. You're talking about personalities. You're talking about objects, which is the coins. And now you're talking about goals. Okay, here's our goal. Here's the goal that we all have. Recruit others for a lifetime. Recruit others for a lifetime. That's our goal.
There was
Getting back to the definition of cult, opposing critical thinking. You don't criticize in AA. Okay, you better go start your own group somewhere else. No criticism, isolating members and penalizing them for leaving. You're ostracized. You're done. You leave. You know, just like what you were saying, Brian, you leave, you know why you left? Because you're in denial,
Yeah.
because you question. You left the program because you're an addict and you're an alcoholic.
Well, yeah,
And
because they frame it like the only reason why you'd want to leave is because you just want to. You don't want the pressure that people are putting on you not to do it as drink or do it as whatever it is that you do. But yeah, that is something that it just seems like they have a hold on people with that, because that person who wants to leave will convince themselves that they're an addict. Once they start using again, they'll just say, well, maybe my AA guy was right.
they're not responsible. They got a disease. How can they help
Right.
themselves when they have a disease? Okay,
Exactly.
but here's the thing. Do you, even the people that don't want help, they can go into counseling and osmosisly, slowly, the old way, reconditioning, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, can change and then change into wanting help. Okay, so
Absolutely.
you can not want help but need it, and still, if you're open. So it all has to do with the individual, nobody else. If the individual who walks into the therapy room, do they handcuff them and bring them in?
No, they voluntarily walk in. Pure
Okay,
voluntarism.
so that's coming from their will and their
Exactly.
care and their care. Okay, now therapy costs what, about 45, 50, 55, 75, $85 an hour or whatever. Now they, even therapy, we won't even get into that. I don't want to get, therapy's
Well, we
good. I
can
like
because
therapy.
a little bit, because that's one of the ways that I got over my serious addiction, if you want to call it that. I just did the old fashioned, like, it wasn't even cognitive. It was a little cognitive, but it was a lot of just, I had a very open minded, holistic thinking therapist who lives here in town, in the town that I live in Glens Falls, and he just encouraged me to do yoga and kind of get in touch with my like he saw that I was into alternative research, and he's like, aren't those people really into yoga and Reiki? He's like, where are you on that? He's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'm just not on that. I'm just drinking, getting fucked up. So he was just like, just go for that, And so he found out more about who I was and geared like the suggestions and the lifestyle changes towards who I was as an individual, and it did that exact thing. It made me want to change. So
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, this is what I say about the gentleman that helped you. He pointed the way. He helped point the way to where you wanted to go. He didn't take you the way. He pointed the way to you. He helped you. He was some help. Who did it? Brian did it. Who did it? Bobby did it. Okay.
right.
It's all it's like it's a mystique that people think they need this to get clean and sober, or to stop drinking, or to control their drinking. Some people have more of a habit than other people. you some people, I think they can actually learn. Like the freedom model actually says that after years of maybe some CBT and some therapy and some Reiki and some yoga and meditation. And I think a person needs to be on some type of spiritual path. And then I think they can possibly, I'm not saying they can or can't, but I think they could drink. They can drink again. They could
A few
drink.
drinks here and there without going overboard. I mean, it depends on who you're asking. I mean, there are some people who like can't stop. They get blackout drunk. They forget what they're doing. They, hurt people when they're really drunk. But then there are some people who, they have it as a crutch for a couple of years, and then kind of ease up, then kind of cut it back a little bit, and they are able to, stay balanced. So it's about balance, I think, at the end of the day. And that's what they don't teach in AA, I would assume, is you can't balance your own psyche. You need the medical industry funded by the Rockefellers and everybody else to do that for you.
Exactly. And the gentlemen that the people like myself and others that really, you know, drank and used a lot and were kind of out of control, we had no other knowledge. So how are we supposed to change? We didn't have any knowledge. So who's to say with any other type of the knowledge that I had, in 3 or 4 years, I could have been sipping a little glass of wine and know to stop. Okay. So, you know, me personally, I'm going to share this. This is just me personally, because there's harm reduction. There's the Sinclair method. There's the freedom model. There's a lot of different models. There's AA, there's smart recovery, rational recovery. There's many, there's a Buddhist practice, which is recovery dharma, which is a spin-off of refuge recovery. And there was a reason for that. But there's a lot of different programs. But what I've found out is you can take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you just make it your own. Call it your life journey. That's what I call it. I call it my life journey. I don't call it a program. Oh, I got to go to this program. I call it, I want to go there. You know, I want to step in and listen to a smart meeting, but I can also go to a Dharma meeting, or I can go to just a meditation group, you know, and I can relax and enjoy everybody. And so, you know, I don't have to go to a meeting or program to stay.
Okay, folks. So ran into some technical difficulty in this interview with Bobby C Cirillo, but you know he's making a lot of great points, and he for the remainder of the video, you're just gonna see on my end, there's just going to be a picture of me and my audio. I ran into some technical difficulties even after we got back up and running, but I want to thank Bobby for bearing with me, and I want to thank the audience for bearing with me in this next section, because I do plan on getting the kinks worked out on my end. I am still working to get even better technology than I have at the moment. And you know, just to in the spirit of natural law and being honest, you know, this is the kind of thing you run into when you're starting out and doing the great work and making podcasts and stuff like that. So I am in need of a really good camera and podcast mic, because that's part of the problem. I don't want to go into the specifics, but and this was my first time using Zoom and using the recording feature on Zoom. So thank you all for bearing with me. And without further ado, the remainder of the interview with Bobby C Cirillo of Anonymous Addiction, My Truth About AA, How Bobby C Sees It. Okay, sorry there, folks. We got cut off for a little while there. I had some technical issues on my end, but we're back. And before we got cut off, Bobby, you were addressing the people who say that you're in denial, and the people that are in AA and, you know, feel that they do need it, or, you know, to stay well, if you will. So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Brian, I'll just touch a little bit on whoever's in AA and they're enjoying it and they feel like they're benefiting from, stay in. All we're saying is have an open mind, think, question, observe, and become aware, and check other options out while you're still in. You know, there's no harm to that. So check other things out. You know, check out a smart recovery meeting. If you want to, if you're into meditation, go to a recovery dharma meeting. Check out a different spiritual book. Go on YouTube and check out Brian's site. Go to Mark's, or there's so many people. Mark Passio's Natural Law. It's all the same. I don't care if it's AA, religion, politics, media, Hollywood. It's all the same. It's the same. We're talking about the same type of things. There's people that go to AA that they don't get sponsors. They don't do the 12 steps. They go once in a while. They feel like they're getting better, and then they do go out and venture out, and then they stay sober on their own. There's people that go in. Alcoholics Anonymous. Matter of fact, there's a spinoff of atheists and agnostic that don't believe in God. They spun off and they started their own meetings, and that's good too. But they're still under the hierarchy of the pyramid. They're still there. It's almost like they don't believe in God, but they're still going to church.
I was just going to say, as an atheist or agnostic person, they might still buy into the giving their power away to higher authorities, and so that's, you know, and at the same time, I do want to say that I'm not trying to be Mr., you know, bad cop or whatever. I think that it's up to the individual, and if people are able to balance it out with their life and, you know, everything, and it works for them, then I'm all for that. It's all about the individual too. So that's, you know, I wanted to throw that in there.
Exactly. It's all, well, that's the only way it works. It comes from the person. It has to come from them. It's all about the individual. It's not the program. Now, if the individual chooses to stay and drink, then that's okay. Look, it's all cause and effect. It's all about cause and effect. If they're suffering the consequences, not too painful, they're going to go for pleasure. And some people, like most of us, we get pleasure out of drinking or drugging because it takes us away from responsibility. It takes us away from things that aren't or painful, like looking at ourselves, you know.
Right.
So we're going to always try to attract towards pleasure versus pain. And some people see pleasure in using, which I did for many years. You know, I ran away from responsibility, and it was an easy, softer way to go get high and drink and take a trip on reality. And that's what I tried to do, is get away from reality, responsibility. But I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, how to do it. I'm just going to pass on some different thoughts. If you're in, stay in. If you're not, and if you're sent to AA, I'm going to be doing a podcast for all the people that are sent to AA that really, wish they weren't there. But I'm going to show you how to enjoy it while you're there, and how that you don't have to buy into everything. You can do your own thing still. They can't throw you out. Okay, they don't throw people out. Okay, on the streets, and they don't just say you're out of here because you don't have a sponsor or you're not doing this or doing that. So I'll show people how to really create their own program while they're in there, and then why they're exiting. So they don't have to be programmed. So they don't have to deprogram themselves.
That could be a good example for people that are already in there, who they see that someone else's program is working better, and if they're not going totally by the book, then that's another plus for the, alternative side,
Exactly. And it's showing somebody an example of how to transition out, because I'm going into smart recovery. They really don't, they frown upon you talking about other programs. They really frown about it. They like to keep the topic on specific Alcoholics Anonymous things, and they will direct that. They will definitely direct you to that. But I wanted to, you got anything else to share on that, Brian?
Well, no, I think that pretty much covers that. I was just gonna say, like, what is your thoughts on anonymity? Like, why is it called Anonymous Addiction, like the actual page?
Okay, well, there's a lot of people that, you have lawyers, doctors, pilots, you have professionals, you have people that don't want to be stigmatized as an alcoholic. So they don't want to be like, if you see them out on the streets, hey, Bob, I seen you at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting last night. Their jobs, they don't want people to know it. Some people don't want their wives to know it, their kids to go. They're kind of, so they want to keep it anonymous. And that's good. Me personally, I will adhere to anonymity for anybody. I'll keep their anonymity. I'm good at that. I've been good at that for 37 years, and I know how to do it. But I'm not anonymous. I don't need to be today. I don't believe in anonymity for me because I'm not hiding from anything. I don't believe in the alcohol concept or the disease concept. I respect everybody else's, but I don't have a personal need to do it because I'm not different. The only thing that separates me from some other person, maybe I don't drink. I choose not to drink. It's not like I have to, but I choose to be abstinent. But I don't go around telling people, oh, I don't drink. They say, hey, you want to drink? I said, nah, I don't feel like drinking. I really don't drink. It's like people that gave up peanuts. How about the people that gave up vegetarian? They gave up meat. Do they go around every day saying I gave meat up or I can't eat peanuts? No.
Only the super fanatical ones, but I don't know about the peanuts people. I think the vegetarians get a little fanatical, but it's when you get to that level of fanaticism, like you were saying before, it's the only time, so.
Exactly. So the only thing that separates me from other people is what I choose to do about alcohol. So I'm not different. I'm not unique. So I don't go around saying, oh, I got this many years. I got this every day. I have to tell everybody how much time I got. I believe that we all have the same time. There's no question. I believe in the power now. I like Eckhart Tolle's type of thing where stay in the present moment with the power now. And I really understand that. I believe we all have the same time. There's no separation. There's only that past and the future that we could project upon. But we really only have right now. And me and you're connecting right now. We're sharing. and it's all good.
Right. All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Bobby. I just wanted to give my audience a few takeaways that I just thought of as we were, conversing here. Like, I think that even if there's certain cases where like it goes when you're dealing with NA, for example, like there's heroin, abuse. There's a lot of like hard drug, substance abuse issues and stuff that goes on. But even in that situation, the choice is still theirs. And you can't force that person to change, even if it means they're harming themselves, even if it means they might end up killing themselves. It's ultimately, unfortunately, their choice if they want to make that bad choice for themselves as well, as long as they're not causing any harm to other sentient beings, violating anyone else's rights. And it doesn't matter if they're on drugs or not. You could be a psychopath and be sober and still violate people's rights and commit natural law transgressions. You could argue that sometimes substances make that worse, but you can't force people to change if they're only causing harm to themselves, as unfortunate that is. And then, I think that people need to be encouraged instead of told that they have no power and that they need to give up their responsibility to a higher power. They should be encouraged to make the right decisions or find a reason to live like their life to the fullest, reawaken their ambition, their care for the suffering of others, and heal from substance abuse should be about remembering to feel your emotions again instead of suppressing them. And you don't need drugs to suppress them. There's all manner of different ways of doing that. So, it's like you want to understand the rites of passage in life, the importance of feeling your emotions, the importance of friends and family, and, not missing out on those things. So, it's about understanding that you're writing your own script in your own movie, and how do you want it to go it's really up to you. So, I decided I didn't want to die overdosing from drugs and that be the end of the story. I wanted the story to keep going. So that's my take on it.
Exactly, Brian. Beautiful. Yeah, that's what people need to hear, and I appreciate hearing that because that's your take, and that's my take really too. It's our choices, and if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And as a man thinketh, shall he be. Uh, uh, how about whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That's Napoleon Hill. That's true. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So it's all, that's the hidden principles that they want to keep from everybody. We got the power, and we'll just keep on learning. I'll just keep on learning more about natural law, universal spiritual law. Thanks,
Right.
Brian. I appreciate you having me.
No problem. Before you go, where can people find you? Just to remind everyone, like where they can find you on the internet.
Well, I have a private group, Anonymous Addiction, at My Truth About AA, as Bobby C sees it, private group on Facebook. And I don't call them members, I call them friends. And then I do have a friends page, but my friend page is Bobby C Cirillo. And it's exact same as my Anonymous Addiction page. It's just a friend page. So I have two ways of getting to me, through the friends or the members. If you if you become a member, then it's a private group, and we're going to figure out ways to where we can have call-ins and questions and answers about new people coming in, people that are in. I don't like to argue or have heavy debates, but I'm willing to debate, anybody on any type of subject that has to do with recovery, addiction, disease concepts, or anything like that. Any type of program. So
Awesome.
thanks, Brian. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Keep on doing the great work, and we look forward to seeing more from Bobby C Cirillo at Anonymous Addiction. All right, you guys have a great night. We'll see you soon. More content on the way.
Thanks, Brian.
No problem.
Bye-bye. Peace, brother.